Welcome back for another episode.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that?
Oh yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, what is up, fam? We are back for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve, being joined to me by this guy on my right, Mr. Zachary Burr. Zach, how are we feeling this afternoon? Are you feeling good?
Ugh. I feel better if Ohio State would do something here. Do something. That was not something good.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. Got some stuff to unpack. You know, we didn't really get a chance to talk a whole lot of football last week. We'll touch on the Eagles, Lions, and everything surrounding their issues on both sides of the ball right now. Unfortunately, Will Wesley is not going to be joining us tonight. He just hit me up like right before we got like an hour or so before we came on. He's having a family emergency he has to deal with, so he'll be we'll get him rescheduled and get him back on here. But no, we got a lot of stuff going on tonight. You got World Series game 4 going on right now. We got Sixers Hawks going on right now. I know Zach's got a lot of stuff going on with college football. I know he's pumped right now. So,
well, in some ways, I did this morning. I placed this bet this morning, and it was part of a 14 parlay. And the fourth leg of it, the other 3 rolled easily. The fourth leg of it was going to be Ohio State over Penn State tonight. And I was like, ooh, I love it for 2 reasons. Penn State's not going to beat Ohio State in Ohio State. Okay, they're just not going to go Columbus and win. They're not. They're like 2-12 in Columbus since like 1995. Okay. And on top of that, I was like, oh, how great of content would that be for later on tonight when a bunch of pedophile State University fans or whatever they call themselves decide to jump in the chat room and be pissed the fuck off that I bet for Ohio State, just pretty much to spite them, like just so we can sit here together and have this type of night. But watch, it's gonna blow up in my face just like Alabama did like 3 weeks ago, and they're gonna cost me a ton of fucking money because fuck my life.
And before we get too far into it, as every episode is, this episode is brought to you by eXp Realty LLC. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking to change your career or brokerage, contact our man at Alan Foy over at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820, or visit him at Alan Foy at exprealty.com. And with that being said, obviously, me and you have been talking about some things as far as what's going on with baseball. Like I said, obviously, game 4 right now. Braves are up 2 games to 1 at the moment. We'll see how that goes. Want to go get right into this poll question. Obviously, some things came out over the past week that the winter meetings are completely canceled. And I want to know, Zach wants to know, do you think that spells a strike in 2022? Agree, disagree? Make sure you guys are. Go ahead, brother.
I mean, Stephen, we've talked about this on this show, in the past year. We talked about this on the show last year or 2 years ago when they were going through, all of that, everything with the shortened season, and the 60 whatever games it was, whatever the deal was that they came up with going into 2020.
We'll get back to it, dude. Don't worry. We're going to circle back to football. Like it or loathe it, we're still getting back to it, but we're going to still talk some baseball. Let's go.
We talked about it then that, the writing was on the wall. You could kind of see everything that was going on. The reason why the negotiations, if you remember when the players and the owners during that time when the season was going to be shortened, how they went back and forth. Initially it was going to be prorated, and then the owner said, no, we'll lose too much money. We want you to take even less money than that. And the players said, no, fuck you, we're not doing that. All of that was because both sides wanted leverage when it came to these CBA negotiations that they all knew was going to take place, 6 months to a year later. So neither side was going to give then. Both sides, were going to, stand there and be stubborn and say, no, we got to stick up for ourselves because we need this leverage when we go to the CBA talks in a year or so. So we knew all this was a possibility then. And for Major League Baseball to pretty much just come out and admit that, like, yeah, you know what, like it's due. Like we're not going to make any progress. We're way too far apart on any type of agreement at the moment. We're canceling the winter meetings because, like, we already know this is going to happen. It's not even like they're trying to stop it, Steven. They already know it's going to happen. And I hope that for their sake, for Major League Baseball's sake, for Rob Manfred's sake, you know, for a game that there's a lot of people, you talk about the Astros who are in the World Series. Imagine if this Astros team wins the World Series, how many people, it wouldn't piss me off. I would love it, right? Because I've supported them this whole way. But there would be a lot of people that it would really, really irritate and agitate that the Astros have won the World Series. And then on top of that, you're going to have baseball going on strike with all this, you know, nonsense that they're trying to negotiate that, you know, who knows how long it'll take. It's going to rub a lot of people, a ton of people the wrong way. And, you know, it's going to be hard for baseball to avoid a similar, you know, situation than what they had in 1994. There's going to be a large demographic of people that have followed the sport for a long time, that have been longtime fans, that are going to say, you know what, this is the final straw for me. I already know a ton of them. I mean, you know, between umpiring and all the baseball that I work, I know I talk baseball with people all the time, and I hear from people all the time how the game isn't the same as when they grew up with it in the 80s or the 90s or the 70s or whatever decade it was that they grew up with it. And it's almost like they've looked for reason after reason after reason. They hate, you know, Manfred and all these new ideas and the runner on second base and the idea of the designated hitters in both leagues. They hate all this, you know, analytics and all this new school bullshit. They hate it all, right? And it's like, be careful. This might be the final straw that drives people like that away. And when, you know, we learned in 94, sometimes when you drive those people away, a lot of them will never come back, no matter what you do. Now, you know, for baseball, maybe they're like, you know, we're not worried about the 60-year-old, 70-year-old guy that's been a fan for 40 years that can't stand the bat flips and the pimping of the home runs and the, you know, $300 contracts and all that. We're fine with losing them as fans because we're tailoring to our new, you know, towards our new younger demographic anyway. But still, be careful what you wish for, right? Like this is, I mean, the strike is never good in any sport, right?
No, ever.
Ever, right? But baseball, more than any other sport right now in this country, I think is very, very vulnerable when it comes to something like this really, really hurting them from a revenue standpoint, from TV ratings, attendance, all that. I mean, look around at some of the markets in baseball. I mean, look around, you know, the Phillies, when they're good, they draw, right? The Yankees draw, you know, all these big markets draw. But look at some of these teams. I mean, look at a Cincinnati Reds game. I mean, there's like 10,000 people there on most nights. You know what I'm saying? Like Tampa Bay Rays. I live 20 minutes from the Tampa Bay Rays game. I know people that there'll be people that have tickets that they try to give away for free on Facebook. And people are like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want Rays tickets. And the Rays are actually good. But anybody that's been to that stadium knows it's just a fucking shithole and there's just nothing to do. And you're going to pay more for the beer than you are for the fucking ticket. And it's just more of a headache than it's worth. You'd rather sit at home and watch it there. So in certain markets, certain baseball markets around the country right now who are already hurting from an attendance standpoint and things like that, you know, this isn't going to make that situation for them any better. The Yankees always have a solid fan base. The Red Sox always have a fan base, right? The Dodgers, teams like that, they're always going to be able to have fans and draw fans to the ballpark. But you can't say the same for, you know, every other market in baseball. There's 15 markets in baseball that, like, you know, like it's literally half the league where you look at it and you go, people are like, you go watch a game on a random Tuesday night and the stadium's empty. There's nobody there. You're just like, yeah, like, fuck it. Like, I guess they just don't give a fuck about baseball in this, you know, like it really is. Like, it's that sad to watch a game on TV sometimes and see 3,000 people, what looks like in a 35,000 seat stadium, right? Go watch the Pirates and shit like that. Like, there's nobody there. So, you know, good luck. I mean, and unlike 94, I mean, you've got so many other alternatives for people now that are like, yeah, like, you know, baseball's not like, you know, there's so many other things for people to watch and esports and all these other, hot new sports that are becoming big with the younger demographics and shit.
What about this one? Hugh's got a question for you, brother. So what does baseball have to do to improve it? To improve the
trying
game?
To change it so much. Stop trying to change it so much. And I mean, it's baseball.
His thing is he wants the game to be faster.
In all of sports.
His thing is he wants the game to be faster.
You listen, baseball, the game is what it is. You can't speed it up. Okay? Deal with the fact that this is, if you want to speed it up, you get rid of the instant replays, and you have the timed mound visits and things like that, which you can very easily do. You can make it so a mound visit can only last 15 seconds, 20 seconds, right? There's no reason for a mound visit to last, maybe even you want to go 10 seconds. Come out, say what the fuck you need to say. Let's move the fuck on and get on with it. This idea that we're going to sit out there and bullshit until an umpire comes out here and tell us, enough's enough, and then they chirp at the umpire because he missed a pitch by this fucking much. This much. We're talking about like fucking, 3 inches off the outside corner, and we want to bitch about the fact that it's like,
Jordan,
I don't know what some of these people were.
Jordan's over there.
Where were some of these people when you watched baseball growing up, Steven? I mean, go look at some of the umpires in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and shit, Steven. I mean, you had pitches that were a foot outside being called a strike. You know what I'm saying? You want to speed the game up? How about a pitch that just misses the corner by this fucking much? This much below the knees, and a little computer box says, oh, that's just off the plate. Who gives a fuck if it's just off the plate? Swing the fucking bat, strike. You want to speed it up? That's how you speed shit up. But instead, you've got a shoebox strike zone. You've got instant replay. That,
all right, Zach.
Takes
All right.
10 to 15 minutes just for them to decide whether somebody's out or safe.
Let's reel it in. You got the listeners thinking you're tweaking over here.
No, I mean, he wanted to know what you do to speed it up, and you seem to be enjoying it. So if sometimes when you're rolling, you roll. You're rolling. You roll with it.
Here's where
am I wrong, Steven?
Here's where I'll come into it. I agree with the fact that we can kill it with some of the prolonged mound visits. It should be probably no more than a minute long period. You don't need like if you have to get something relayed into one of your defensive infielders, outfielders, etc. Get that done, etc. I get that part of it. I don't see how I'm with you though. I don't see how you can speed it up anymore. I mean, we're already getting all the ridiculous stuff this week with PETA jumping in, sitting there saying that we have to call it the arm bar now. This is freaking ridiculous.
Just PETA's not even a thing anymore, Steven. People have been forget it. People want to talk about cancel culture. PETA got canceled like 20 years ago. Like people stopped giving a fuck about anything PETA had to say a long, long time ago.
He said that proves you need another Red Bull.
No, another Voodoo Ranger IPA. 7% alcohol.
All right, now, as far as our poll, let me circle back to that. Do I feel it spells the strike? Not necessarily, but it sure as hell does not look good. And this is something like Zach was already touching on. We've talked about this already. We kind of we've already seen the writing on the wall. As far as whoever the World Series winner, I don't think it makes a difference at this point in time. I think the biggest thing is to get get everyone on the same page, and there should be no holdout, no lockout, no delay, anything of that nature. We need to get this stuff done.
Listen, you want to know how you really fix this issue? How you fix this issue when people are going to call me crazy because they're like, how can you say the players deserve more money? Look how much money they're already making. Players deserve the majority of the revenue. There was a time in the sport where players made 60% of the revenue, and you say, am I watching the game because Joe Schmo owns the team with his cigar company? Or am I watching the game because Bryce Harper is really fucking good and I enjoy watching Bryce Harper be really fucking good and entertain me with his gorgeous hair and his, the luscious hair and the Philly attitude.
Jordan Benchhurst says it right here, man. A strike equals baseball's dead, and he might not be wrong.
That's what I say by be careful what you wish for with all this. Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy. It's not.
People also tend to forget that it took
Major League Baseball will never die completely, but dead as we know it, yes.
In the current form, yeah, because you got to remember, it took the steroid era and the Sosa and McGuire chase to bring baseball back to life after the last strike.
And then what's so weird about baseball fans is the same people that loved that shit 25 years ago are the same people that sit there and claim now that it's a black eye for the sport. And you can't have it both ways. Either it was a good time for baseball or it wasn't. Okay, and I sure as hell remember it being a hell of an entertaining time to go to a baseball game when guys were hitting 500-foot home runs and had arms the size of me and you, and you were just like, yeah, this is fun, great. You know what? I could take as much steroids as I wanted, and I would never ever be able to hit a ball 500 feet. So there's that. What the hell is going on in the Ohio State Penn State game?
And now back to your other side of it, like as far as like we're talking about the revenue split and things of that nature. I'll always be pro athlete because, as you say, like that's why we're there. We're not there because of X team or as we talk in the fight where we're not there for what promotions there. We're there for the fighters that are inside the ring, cage, arena, stadium, etc. Those are the people who we're turning into. So I'll always be pro athlete. I mean, do I think they need it significantly more than what they have now? Not necessarily, but make sure you take care of things all across the board. Make sure you're proactive in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, this idea, and I don't know how it got to this way in baseball. I mean, I guess it's an example of the rich wanting to become richer, right? Of the owners, the people that the owners are these billionaires in this situation, and they literally are already making so much revenue off of this. Where if it's split 55-45, I mean. In favor of the players, how is that not fair? When you're like, the players are the reasons that the Astros are in the seats and the TV revenue is what it is and all this money's being made the way it is, that seems fair to me. So this idea that it got to a point, even 50-50, you're thinking like, okay, that's fair. But this idea that it's gotten to a point where the owners get more of a cut of the revenue than the players, that's just silly. All of that is just, I mean, if I'm a player, I'm offended by that too. You know what I'm saying? If I'm Bryce Harper, if I'm the Mike Trouts, if I'm those guys, the Shohei Ohtanis, right? If I'm those guys, like, listen, the reason you even have a baseball team is because I play for you and people paid money to come watch me tonight as I pitch 7 innings and hit 400-foot home runs. That's why. So, at some point, I mean, they're both greedy, I guess, right? Like, because they're both making tons of money, but one of them is going to have to get a bigger cut of the revenue. That's just the way it goes. And I'm never going to side with billionaires who I don't give a damn about. Like, you couldn't name, like the only we know John Middleton because he owns the Phillies, right? But like 90% of the owners in baseball, you couldn't even name who the hell they are. We don't know who any of those assholes are. But you know who all the players are, all the great players are around the league. You sure as hell know that. Do you know who owns the Padres, Steven? I've got no idea who owns the Padres. I've got no idea who owns the Blue Jays, but I could name you all of their great young players that I give a damn about who I'm like, oh yeah, really like watching that kid play. He's fun to watch. So why should the owner get more of a cut of revenue than Fernando Tatis Jr.? Why should the owner for Toronto get more of a cut of revenue than Vlad Jr.?
With that being said, the Astros are up 1-0 already.
Well, yeah, this was the game that the Braves were fucked up and they had to go with a special, because Morton got hurt, so they kind of had to go with somebody that wasn't going to pitch.
Let me take it to you on this part. I'm definitely with that part of it. But like when we look at the grand scheme, like all right, we're complaining about what some of the Major League Baseball players are maybe asking for, want implemented moving forward. Take that same thing where you'll be pro athletes and you don't want to hear the bitching. Go and look what some of the MMA fighters. Go look what they make. Go look at some of these fighters are having to create GoFundMes and things of that nature. So. Yeah, it's in a context of its own when we're talking about each sport, but at the same time, like, is it really bitching or is it asking for what probably should already be theirs? But the way that they're set up, they already have a collective bargaining agreement. They already have someone fighting for their rights. What about there's professional athletes who literally get the shaft on a daily basis, and they're not being $1 million athletes yet. So like when we sit there and say this, like at the same time, like we have to sit there and look at it with different eyes, because we're fans at one point, but also, we're media, we're covering these sports players, athletes, managers, etc. So you have to look at it from all points of view, that's something we try to do and conduct these type of conversations when it comes to this. So. I'm glad you agree, my brother. I'm glad you agree. But it's one of these things like it's in their hands. It's in the players' hands. It's in the owner's hands. They can either see nothing but green in their eyes, or they can sit there, be men, go to the table, and do what's right for everybody. Because I think we all know. We've already kind of stated it. If this is what their intentions are, and this is what they're going to do. There might be biting off more than they can chew to try to fix and save what the repercussions will and should be if it happens.
Yeah, I think the huge point. I think the huge point about them bitching, Well, if you put yourself in their shoes and you kind of look at it as, we've got all these owners telling us, why the revenue is the way it is and why it's set up the way it is, and all these reasonings for why they get the bigger cut of money than the players do. Well, at some point, if you're them and you're being shafted and you're getting fucked over, is it the natural human emotion reaction from any of us to be like, hey, I've got to speak up and say something about this and bitch and whine? Not bitch and whine, but you're gonna be a little fired up, make a little bit of a scene, get a little rah about it, be like, this is fucking bullshit, and you're gonna do that. This idea that they make all this money anyway, so they don't need to bitch about. No, that's ridiculous. They're fighting for their rights at this moment, which is why they have a whole CBA and a players union and all that anyway, right? So you do what you got to do if you're the players on their end, whether it's publicly, privately, behind the scenes, openly, whatever it might be, to make things happen.
No, but like some of the things
that they need to happen. And Steven, let me ask you a question with this, because if we're really being honest about the game, who knows more about the health of the game, the future of the game, the way the game needs to grow than the players, right?
And some of the things that I've been saying, like some of the things I've been saying that I think that they absolutely have, they have a gripe and things that should be done along those lines is what was it? The minor leaguers that, making sure they're taken care of, that they're not having to pay for X, Y, and Z, that their living conditions, etc., are situated.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like, because I talked to some coaches now that work a lot of travel ball that have obviously played a lot of minor. A lot of them are former minor leaguers. I'll run into a couple that are former big leaguers, but it's usually guys that played. I played college and a few years in the minors, and then whatever got into coaching. But they always talk about this. Like, we've had these conversations with, like, hey, that's the way it's always been. Back when I played Edwin House, and okay, like that doesn't make it right then though either. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because that happened to you when you played in the minors in 1997 doesn't mean it's okay now 25 years later. When, let's be honest, the revenue's just gone up since then, right? It's just made more and more and more money. And hell, these organizations and what they invest into these farm systems to develop these young talents from the very beginning, to me, there's absolutely no excuse to hear some of the horror stories that we've heard about some of the living conditions these kids are in, the money that they're not making. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you've got a whole farm system that's designed top to bottom, like with 4 or 5 different levels to develop kids from the time they're 16 years old until they're ready to go to the big leagues, and that you can't even give them adequate housing and enough money for them to be able to afford proper meals. And then you probably expect them to show up to the weight room and participate with your weight program. And he's like, hell, I can't even eat enough calories in a day to be able to make this weight room, worth a damn, because I can't eat enough.
And that's when we get these stupid, silly injuries that some of these guys get.
You would think they could just show up at the team complex and they would be having, you don't have a cafeteria at the Philly Spring Training Complex in Philadelphia, in Clearwater down here, where any member of the Philadelphia Phillies organization, top to bottom, can show up and get lunch, dinner, breakfast, anything they want. Like, are you kidding me? How is there not an open buffet 24/7? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
It's like I said, it's one of the things that I hope kind of rectifies itself. Hopefully, like I said, some of these coaches, players, owners, managers, etc., kind of weigh in and situate that. Like, I think that's probably one of the lone remaining things that baseball probably should rectify. I mean, other than that, I think the last thing is, do you really want to see the NL adapt the DH? Is that one of the things that kind of help you with the game? Do you really want to see pitchers go away?
These old school baseball people that are being stubborn about DH. So I don't understand this idea that it's okay for there to be a DH in the American League but not the National League. What the hell? Like, what are you talking about? Like, why is it okay in one league and not the other? Oh, well, it messes up strategy. Strategy? There's no strategy anymore. These managers do what a fucking computer tells them, and that's that. This idea of there being some type of in-game strategy, nobody bunts on first and second with nobody out anymore. That's not a thing. When was the last time you saw somebody do hit and run? That's not a thing. So, like, you've got pitchers that sign $300 million contracts, that like literally you didn't sign a $300 million contract so you can run the bases and hit home runs. We all know why Max Scherzer is going to sign a huge deal this offseason. We all know why any of these top arms, Garrett Cole, the money that he's making with the Yankees, right? Imagine if a National League team signs into that deal and now he's expected to hit and run the bases. No National League team wants to sign him to a $200, $300 million contract and then have to worry about him getting hurt, hitting or running the bases. You're like, can my guy just worry about pitching? Literally the reason he's getting paid $40 million a year? Like we've gotten to a point where these contracts are so crazy. Like if you're going to pay a pitcher $30 million a year, can I please just let him worry about pitching? I don't want my star pitcher having to hit or run the bases. I literally just want him to focus on pitching. If I'm paying him $30 million a year to be that guy, fuck, you don't need to see a single damn pitch at the plate. And I think look at some of these ace pitchers, Max Scherzer. We literally laugh when we watch him hit. We saw him hit in one of the playoff games for the Dodgers. You're laughing. He's not even trying to swing the bat. Just fastballs down the middle. Okay, good. I'm taking a seat now, right? Okay, I'm going to go out there and strike everybody else. Like he has no interest in even trying to stand in there and do anything for that reason. I'm not going to swing the bat and hurt myself. I'm not going to get hit by a pitch. I'm not going to go have to run the bases and pull a hamstring in the process. Fuck that. I know where my value's at. I think we're at a point in the game where it's just like there's absolutely no reason for pitchers to be hitting or running the bases at this point. None. Unless you just want to try to be one of these old school baseball people being that stubborn about like, oh, that's the way the game is always been. Take a seat, old man, okay? Just stop.
Oh man! All right, yeah, I'm definitely with you. The pitcher batting nine has definitely worn its time. It's done. It's over with. It probably should have been done the same time that American League Baseball adopted it. But
pitchers literally get down bunts. Like if you ask a pitcher to bunt nowadays, that used to be something that like 20, 30 years ago, if you couldn't bunt as a pitcher, like you weren't going to be a big league pitcher. Like you had to handle the bat in situations.
What's up, Molly?
Right? First and second, nobody out. There was a time in baseball, Steven, you'll remember it very well because it was your entire youth. But when there was first and second and nobody out, a pitcher was just naturally expected to be able to get a bunt down and move those runners over, and that was all part of it. Like, literally, you have to do that. That's part of your job. Now,
before I get it,
they don't even ask him to bunt in that situation.
Before I forget, as we get ready to change topics here, I want to remind everyone: don't forget, sign up for our A2D membership, $9.99 a month. All our perks include show appearances, members only streams, shout outs, Willie sports picks from the Money Pot guys with Big Willie and all them, and also obviously our giveaways, which still waiting for our guy to claim the Nixon jersey from last week. I got some things planned out for everyone for this month. Make sure you guys are locked in. Also, anybody who's going to be using our code from now till the end of November, make sure you either screenshot at me, message it to one of the guys. I'm gonna put some names in a pot, and I'm gonna put together a little Thanksgiving prize pack. I'm gonna get some stuff from a couple different sports for our members. I'll get that all lined up with everyone. But just wanted to remind everyone before me and Zach switch gears real fast and get ready to talk some football, because we got a lot of frustrations to let out on this team. We got a lot of talk about. Really didn't get a chance to talk about it last week with all the guests and everything we had going on. Didn't really get a chance to talk that Raider game, so got a little bit to unpack. That first drive of that game. Can someone please tell me why this team finds way to do something good, to find something that works, and completely throw it away and don't use it again? Did I miss something with that? Or everyone wants the point blames. Hurts can only do this. Sirianni's making them do that. X, Y, and Z. At some point in time, they all have to hold themselves responsible of the absolute dreck they've been putting out there at times, right?
I mean, it's all ridiculous at this point. I mean, I'm so tired of hearing. I literally told everybody in this fan base, I was telling people this last year at this time. Jalen Hurts is not going to be our savior. Jalen Hurts is not going to step into this offense and suddenly become Russell Wilson. The guy's not Steve McNair. He's not Kyler Murray. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not even Donovan McNabb. Hell, I don't even think the guy's Dante Culpepper. And we had a fun conversation about that a few weeks back. Like,
yeah, we did. We did.
We called him Tyrod Taylor. I don't even know if he's Tyrod Taylor. I think he's Geno Smith 2.0 at this point. I mean, that's really what Jalen Hurts' career is going to be. I mean, and that's not an insult either. Before people are like, because Geno Smith just started for the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football last week. So that's a guy that's been in the league for a decade now. It's not an insult. It's just some guys are backup quarterbacks and other guys aren't.
And here's another thing.
The guy's not a franchise quarterback. He's a guy that's going to be a really solid backup for you and can start some games if your starter goes down. That's what he is. It's what he'll always be. And we're dreaming if we think he's anything else.
Now, and here's the other side of this too. Like how's it like that first drive? Like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take balance. Running the ball, like keeping him under center. This is a big thing me and you were talking about. And then you get away from it. I understand Miles got hurt. I understand, you lost your guy. You think it can help you there, and then it was an utter catastrophe on both sides of the ball. You basically made Derek Carr look like the second coming of Superman.
Derek Carr is a very, very good quarterback, Steven, and I know people like.
Me and you've been talking about this. I hope something happens and he wants that they wind up moving on from him and he winds up falling in our hands.
My quarterback. Yeah, his guaranteed money's up in with the Raiders after this year, and with everything that's happened with Gruden and all that, you kind of have to feel as if it's just they've kind of like how do they not just kind of start going in a different direction and bringing in kind of some fresh faces and all. Like they might just say, you know what, fuck it, let's hire a new young coach, fresh everything throughout the organization, just for anything else that helps with the image. And
I think that Eagles fans should keep more an eye on that this offseason than worrying about trying to find one in the draft, because it's not going to work. Let's be honest. Do you have even an inkling of faith that he nails this next draft? He can't miss. He can't.
I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and play that, because you know what I mean. Listen, I think Howie's a snake and a weasel. I'm one of those guys that defends his draft a little bit more than others. You know what I mean? Like I think he's a guy that I'll defend his draft a little bit more than. I mean, Kenny Gainwell looks like a really solid pick and like a 5th round pick. You're like, hey, that kid's going to be a really solid player. Devontae Smith, we all were happy with that pick when it happened. Like, I don't think his draft.
I don't think he's missed there, but you're so inept in so many other areas. At this point, you knew you had to go get the wide receiver because obviously the guy you drafted the year before, it wasn't exactly who you thought it was. He's a nice complimentary piece, but he should have never been drafted where he was, regardless if you're pro Rager or con.
I think my bigger problem with Howie is I think he hurts us in situations where, like, say we do want to trade for a Derek Carr, right? Because the guaranteed money's gone with Vegas. They're not just going to let him walk as a free agent. They're not going to cut him. They're going to trade him for value because he's worth. I mean, Derek Carr's an example of a guy that when he first came into the league was limited in some ways from a throwing ability, and then he always had arm strength, but he couldn't make every throw. He's worked very hard, worked his ass off, and now not only can he make any throw, but he can fit a ball in a window that very few quarterbacks can, and you just go, wow, like that's really impressive, that throw he just made. So he's that guy now. But if he's going to get traded, he's going to have a say in where he goes. And I feel like Howie, for me, is a guy where, like, I'm more worried that a guy like Derek Carr has absolutely no interest in coming to play in a place like Philadelphia because he thinks a guy like Howie Roseman's a snake and a weasel, and he goes, I'm not signing a contract with you. To you, everybody's just a number on a piece of paper. And at the minute you can replace somebody, you do. I'm going someplace where they want me, they show me loyalty, and I'm the guy. Nobody's the guy in Philly. Nobody is. We're all just numbers on a piece of paper here in Philly. That's been proven time and again now. Howie doesn't look at it like that. He's an accountant. He's a numbers guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, he's a football. He doesn't look at things from a football perspective. He looks at it from a numbers perspective. We've got plenty of that evidence. I know. Well, and there's a reason why he doesn't draft Jefferson and DK and those guys, Bryce. There's a reason for that. It's all money related. If you don't think it's all big picture money related, as if he's not looking, 2 years ahead from contract standpoints, I don't know what to tell you. There's a reason why he's, that Jeffrey Lurie trusts him. He's an accountant. He's a money man. And let's be honest, the Jewish culture, which Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, they're both Jewish. It's like women sticking together. Certain cultures, they very much stick together and have a trust for each other. And that's a big thing with Howie and Jeffrey Lurie. And that's not just me speculating on that. That's been reported. We've seen that been reported. That's why Howie won't be fired. That's why he is Jeffrey's right-hand man. There's a trust there outside of just football because of their culture that they share and the background that they share and understanding one another with that background and that culture. Lurie's always needed that guy. Joe Banner used to be that guy. When Lurie first bought the team, Joe Banner was that guy. I remember Joe Banner being phenomenal in that role, being Lurie's right-hand man when Andy Reid was here and we were building a winner. Ever since it's become Howie that's that right-hand man as opposed to Joe Banner, everything's gone to complete shit. But
now,
fire his yesterday.
We've talked on the wide receiver. I actually think moving forward that they're not in a bad place at wide receiver, tight end, etc. You like who Dallas Goedert is. You like what you have there in Devontae Smith. Again, like I said, Rager's a nice 2. You still got Watkins there.
I think Watkins is going to end up being your 2, Steven, and Rager will be your 3. And you know what? If Rager's your 3 while he's returning punts, hold on. If Rager's going to return kicks, return punts, and then be your number 3. And he's going to make enough plays as a receiver for you to be like, okay, you know what? Is he what I wanted with the 22nd pick? Obviously,
well, no,
not,
and this is what I'm trying to say. As much as we're still holding him over the coals for DK and Jeffrey, listen, it's fine right now. These guys can be productive.
And Jalen Rager, that's a good 3.
Here's the other thing: you're not going to have to pay these guys crazy money in 2-3 years. No, you're not going to have to pay him crazy money. The thing that you should be worried about right now is making sure you find Kelsey's replacement, because without a doubt he should be retiring, if not this year, next year.
You need to find a legitimate workhorse running back too. A legitimate workhorse running back. And I'm sorry, but as I've been saying, Steven, Miles Sanders is not durable enough to be that guy.
It really sucks because he was moving and. He gets the injury. We see what happens. Gainwell's not a guy that's going to go in between the tackles. Obviously, Jordan Howard's going to. The fans are going to be happy. Jordan Howard's going to be activated this week. I don't really see him having a huge impact. He'll probably have
Adrian Peterson. You know what? At this point, just go sign me Adrian Peterson and hand him the football every play. And at the very least, we could just be like, oh, look how much closer he is to breaking so-and-so's mark. Or look how much closer he is to moving to the 3rd on the all-time rushing list. Oh, look how far he is away from this guy. And then at least you can root for something every week.
My thing is, if they would have some balance on offense, they would probably be a little bit better off. But they're still trying to run this whatever you feel like you want to do with this passing game. And me and you have been calling this, I don't know how many more times. We see him break a clean pocket, and then not only does he break the clean pocket, but then he'll have an absolutely horrendous throw. Receivers here, he's coming over here, and the ball's over here. Listen, this is what we talk about with the eye test. We do us want him to succeed? Absolutely. He's just not the guy. He's not going to be the guy here. He's always gonna have this thing where is he going to be successful in this league? I think at some point in time, but I just don't think it's going to be here building with this team towards the goal that what this team is telling us it's supposed to be was another trip that, down Broad Street. That was the idea. That was the goal. You tore this team apart. You sent Carson Wentz to Indianapolis. Now you just said you've almost completely torn apart that championship. The only real big linchpin that's left is a couple guys left on that defense.
And at some point that had to happen anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously it had to happen, but you didn't have to blow it up that quick. Granted, as your return for Carson is starting to the trades that he made over the last few years are starting to might pay to fruition. You have to hope that Jeffrey Lurie actually has his ear to the fans for once and gets rid of this guy. Because if not, you're going to go. We're gonna repeat what happened in the early 2010s. We're gonna repeat it. I'm telling you.
This is what's going to happen. Okay, because Howie Roseman isn't going anywhere. So either you find a way to be successful with him, or eventually you're going to turn into the Lions or an organization like that. And that's going to be the case until Jeffrey Lurie sells the team. That's really what you're coming down to. I don't know if it'll ever get that bad, but you're just going to be a team that is winning 6, 7, 8 games every year. You're going to have a playoff run here and there, but I don't know if you can build a culture at this point with Lurie and Roseman running your front office. I mean, to the point where let's talk about Brandon Staley, the guy that's now coaching the Chargers out on the West Coast, and the Chargers look damn good. He's the favorite to be he was one of the Vegas betting favorite as far as a couple weeks ago to be to be the coach of the year. But apparently we wanted to interview him for a head coaching spot this offseason. And he didn't even come for an interview because he told Howie Roseman, fuck you. I'm not
that's pretty much the sense that's been going along.
Like Nick Sirianni, Steven. That's how you end up with Nick Sirianni, because all the solid candidates don't want to come work for a guy that's a weasel and a snake that they have no trust for, and that they feel, I'm just a number on a piece of paper. There's no loyalty here. There's absolutely nothing that makes this job something that's intriguing on my end, and that's where you're going to be in trouble. Free agents don't want to come here. Great players don't want to come sign here or be traded here, and then the great coaching candidates are already like, fuck you. And we heard that even this also, all these agents around football said that the GM that they least like to do business with is Howie Roseman. That's the guy that they like the least of all the GMs in football, because he's a snake and a weasel. They don't trust him, and they don't feel like there's anything there with their client to make it be like, hey, my client feels loved and wanted, and there's some type of loyalty with this. So how can you build a winning culture with that? I don't think you can, but the only people that matter in their opinion of that is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. And that's not going to happen. No matter how much outside noise there is about how much Howie Roseman's a this or that, and we hate him and he's not good at this or that, Jeffrey Lurie doesn't see it, doesn't agree with it, and thinks the opposite of it. So I have decided that the only thing that we can do as Eagles fans to be productive is wish for the absolute worst possible outcome for this Eagles team. And if that means we win 2 games and have the worst season in franchise history, then that's the case. And, eventually, or you think hopefully that puts enough pressure on Lurie where, no matter how much he likes no matter how much he likes Howie Roseman, when you're going 3-14 and fans are leaving early and people are canceling their season ticket packages and things of that nature, all right, now he's got to make a move because his hands are tied. That's the only thing that's going to make this happen. We could win 7 games every year for the next 10 years, and Howie Roseman still keeps his job. I'm that confident in that opinion. But if this gets ugly in a hurry, you hit rock bottom, things start crashing and burning really bad, then there's pressure on Jeffrey Lurie because
that goes into the next point right here. And that goes into this next point here. Hugh was asking us, so how many more years do you feel before playoffs? He's saying 4.
I
still think
here's
the thing, dude, without a quarterback, you get a quarterback. But here's the thing, like as bad as you could be, you could get one of those things where you get the right schedule and you wind up sneaking in the playoffs in one of those 4 years, even though you're horrendously bad.
Not with this head coach quarterback combination. I mean, you're really not. It's just not. They're just not. Jalen Hurts is just, I like the kid, works hard, right? You love all of his intangibles. He just is what he is. He's limited and he's never going to be a franchise quarterback.
How did you think you were going to develop him? How did you think you were going to develop him if you're still bringing in yes sir freaking coaches to this regime?
Because you can't. There's certain things that coaching can develop, and there's other things that it can't. And coaching has nothing to do with why Jalen runs out of empty pockets every chance that he gets, and is late and behind receivers on simple timing routes and things of that nature. Yeah, you can't teach arm strength. You can't teach timing. You can't teach accuracy. You can't teach touch. Jalen doesn't have any of those things. You can't teach pocket presence. You either have those things or you don't, and Jalen doesn't have them. So, that just is what it is. Now, Sirianni, though, is in over his head. I mean, Sirianni is –
oh yeah, and that's going into the next one. What were your thoughts on his his comments this week? you have anything you want to add to that?
This is a guy that has no clue. He is lost. Like, and like it's almost like when we first hired Gabe Kapler, and you just kind of like you felt like I'm not even mad at the guy because it's not his fault. He's not competent. He has no business being in this role. He wasn't even going to get a head coaching interview with any other team, let alone, get like a head coaching offer. Nobody was even going to bring him in for an interview. He was completely off people's radar. He's just not any good. And unfortunately, he's in a position where he's in over his head and he's overwhelmed. And you're seeing it on a week-to-week basis. But whose fault is that? Is it his fault that he's overwhelmed? Or is that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman's fault for hiring this clown? I mean, I'm going to blame the people that gave him this opportunity. It's not, he's overwhelmed. He's clearly overwhelmed. But he didn't ask for this. It's not like he said, he just walked, oh, you guys want to offer me the head coaching job? Oh, yeah, of course I'll say yes. Like, who? I'm not an idiot. Like, who's going to – no, you're not going to walk in. Somebody go, hey, do you want to be the head coach? You're like – nah, like especially if you know that nobody else is even giving you a head coaching interview. You're like, oh damn, like wait, you want to offer me the position? Oh fuck yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I don't even call plays in Indianapolis. Of course I want to be the head coach here. Like that was a no-brainer. It's not his fault that Jeffrey Lurie was like, yeah, we'll hire you. Oh, okay, what do I sign? No takesy backsies, right? Like, seriously, what, you for real? Is this an April Fool's joke or something? Yeah, like you almost like that's what if you're Nick Sirianni's agent, like okay, sign here, quick before they change their mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, that's what it was.
We were planting flowers here in Philadelphia.
How in the hell? And this guy grew up in the Philadelphia area. How in the hell do you make some type of flower analogy about flowers and blooming? And, some flowers bloom later than others. What are you talking about? If I didn't know any better, I would have thought you grew up
in some sense,
listen, Midwest or something. We didn't give a fuck.
I'm gonna disagree on just an aspect of it. Some flowers do bloom later. Look what just happened with Glover Teixeira tonight. Glover Teixeira, 43 years old, man. They freaking held him in Brazil for 10 years over visa issues, and he wins the UFC World Championship tonight.
No, stop. But my point is, Steven. My point is, yes, we all know the flowers bloom later than others. But when you're in Philly, and it'd be one thing if he was Gabe Kapler, and you're like, this guy has no idea about
the difference is, Max, the difference is the soil here isn't rich to breed those type of flowers that you're asking us to be able to produce.
Well, they need to go grow a couple marijuana plants. And maybe that would help everything within that NovaCare complex.
I don't know about that. But he's making a flower reference. This is a dude that grew up in the Philly area, in the Philly suburbs, going to high school and all that. Literally, he grew up in the Philly. He understands how blue collar this area is. You, better than anybody, should understand that making any type of flower reference is going to be like, this guy just makes some type of flower reference. In Philly, that shit's not flying. We're way too blue collar and hardcore, hardworking people for that shit. Did he just make some type of reference about how flowers bloom later than others? What? People are completely you just lost everybody. You've got a bunch of blue collar, hardworking people, construction workers, plumbers, people like that. That's what that's the blue collarness of the Philadelphia area, right? All those types of blue collar people. And you're making references and analogies about how some flowers bloom later than others. It's just dude, have a clue, read the room, right? Understand the audience that you're talking to. Paper, scissors,
flowers. Yeah, this guy. Are you kidding me? You would have thought this dude was from St. Louis or somewhere in the Midwest where they're just super relaxed about everything. We're talking about rock, paper, scissors to solve issues. and then like flower analogies, like in the media to try to like everybody calm down. Some flowers bloom later than others. Howard Eskin is not going to calm down when you make a flower analogy.
Now that being said, we've given Nick Sirianni quite a bit of attention. Do you feel it's all on him, or is that, or does Mr. Gannon deserve a little bit more at this point in time?
Listen,
or is Gannon just basically running what he's being told, or do you just think his personnel is completely inept that it doesn't really
matter? He's in the same position that Nick Sirianni's in. Another guy that has no business being in the role that he's in, completely overwhelmed and in over his head. But again, who hired him? Well, that wasn't Jeffrey Lurie or Howard Roseman. I mean, they signed off on it. But at the end of the day, Nick Sirianni's the one that decided to bring him with him from Indianapolis and say, you're going to be my defensive coordinator. So at the end of the day, it's just the same. Again, Jonathan Gannon, I hate his face more than anything else. I think that's my problem with Jonathan Gannon. He's just got one of them punchable faces. I fucking hate it. Just hate it. Hate his fucking face. Hate it to like a fucking core. I hate his face. He's got a more punchable face than Gabe Kapler, and Gabe Kapler had a pretty punchable face. But I hate his face. Okay, it's like that movie Grandma's Boy. I hate your face. I hate his face, Steven. Cannot stand it.
Did you just drop a JP line?
I did. My grandma drank all my pot. That's such an underrated movie. Let's go. Come on. But yes, I'm not even mad at Jonathan Gannon at this point as much as I'm mad at the people that put him in that position.
It is an underrated movie. I'll give you that one, though.
It is. Yeah, it's a really underrated. I can't, see, this is why me and you are so tight, bro. I can make a Grandma's Boy reference, and you're right on the same page with me. We don't miss a beat.
Now, looking at the way this team is, are you completely selling it at the deadline at this point in time and just get as many?
Everybody, I told you that last year, right? I said I was.
We were still having to say hey, this guy should stick around. This guy might listen, at this point in time. You think Big Fletch may find himself a new home too?
All of them. I mean,
no one's safe.
I told you this offseason. This is what I saw. There was no reason for Jason Kelce.
And I think it's funny. The Eagles fans, you guys need to hold yourself accountable. When we're sitting there talking about trade talks, you're talking about trading Brandon Graham. How are you going to trade someone who's on IR?
You got to trade people with value.
You're not. Brandon's at the end. We love him. He's going to be another, Hall of Fame, Ring of Fame, whatever, here in Philadelphia. But he doesn't have any value right now. Miles just lost what value he had by getting hurt last week. So there goes that. That literally leaves you with Fletch because you're not going to let Hargrove go at this point in time.
No, and Fletcher's probably not going to get you what you want either because somebody's going to take this contract and be like, you ain't getting a first-round pick for that contract. Fuck you. So that is what
maybe you fix another. So we're gonna rein it back in because Bryce wants to know. So are we winning tomorrow? Absolutely.
Go to the house. Touchdown, Ohio State on a fumble. Rumble, big man, rumble. A 300-pound dude just picked up the fumble and took it to the house.
There you go. Is that saving you? So is that saving you now? But I'm going to get to it. Absolutely
Ohio
not.
State,
the Eagles
are
not winning tomorrow.
Taking the lead, but now it's 17-7 or about to be.
I'll say this much, Bryce. The only person I'm looking forward to showing out is probably going to be Darius Slay because obviously he's going to have a lot to prove. He's probably be like that the Tampa Bay game where he had a big game. I think he'll have another one where he shows out like that. Other than that, man, this team has just too many weaknesses, holes to expose, even for the Detroit Lions. You'd think and hope you'd be able to kind of go in there and win, but at this point in time, I think our boys said it right, last night on their show that we're going to hand them another win. We already know what's going to happen. You're going to throw the ball too much. They're not going to run the ball nearly as much to have the proper balance to be an effective offense so your defense can freaking actually breathe and be able to stop people. Someone try to sell me on why this team should win this game because I can't find one.
That's definitely a fumble. Absolutely 100% a fumble. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Steven. Obviously, I talk about being a degenerate all the time.
Well, that
The
being
Eagles
said,
are
the
favored.
Sixers are up
The Eagles-
77-60 on the Hawks, so I guess they wanted to get that one done, man. Right?
The Eagles are slight favorites over the Lions. I believe from a money line perspective, they're like mine. That the line's like, how about this? Okay, I looked at the line yesterday. The Eagles were slight favorites, money line wise. That line has gone up since then. They were like minus 140 yesterday. They were like minus 160 or something today. Minus 165 today. Minus 170, something like that. The spread is like 2.5 or 3. But I'm telling you, if you're a sports bettor, this is one of those games. Like, I'm going to be running a parlay tomorrow where I've got the Lions in my parlay because it's just one of those lines that you look at and go, I mean, this is screaming Lions. It's just screaming a game for Detroit to win. The Lions aren't bad enough to go 0-17. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like they're bad, but they're not 0-17 bad, right? They'll find a way to win a game or two or 3 games, whatever. And this is one of those games. Bad football team, struggling in all types of, offense, defensively, just struggling everywhere. To be honest, I would take Dan Campbell as a coach right now over Nick Sirianni. Tell me we wouldn't love Dan Campbell in Philly. Now, that's the type of attitude we love here. Blue collar, hard nosed, rowdy, called out the quarterback like week 4, says, hey, I need more out of him. He's just not been good enough. You're like, yeah, I love this guy. Yes, see, that's what we need here in Philly. Accountability, telling it how it is. Fuck your feelings. That's what we need. Of course, we didn't even interview that motherfucker. But, yeah, this is the type of game you look at and you go, if the Lions, if you're going to say the Lions are going to win 2 or 3 games this year, like, yeah, they're going to be bad, but they're going to win 2 or 3. This is one of those games they win. They have to. It's a bad football team at home. And to be honest, talent-wise, we're pretty damn close. Like, Jared Goff, as much as I don't like Jared Goff, is way better than Jalen Hurts. It's a game that if you're the Eagles, you just look at this game and you go, dude, look, we're going to go in there. We're going to lose. We're going to be so irritated and agitated because it's just going to be one of those games. You're going to be like, oh, it's so ugly. Somebody did, just everything about it, right? Like you lost to a winless football team. And then on top of it, like, it's not like it's going to be like a 42-35 like shootout. It's going to be like 21-17 with a bunch of ugliness and a couple turnovers and penalties and just all types of attached to it. Yeah, we're all going to sit in front of the TV for 60 minutes and watch the madness, Steven.
Oh, we absolutely will. We absolutely will, my friend. Because that's what we do. Like, regardless, we're going to go with it. We're going to look at it. We're going to break it down as we're watching it. Listen, it doesn't matter if this team doesn't win the rest of the season. I'm still going to tune in and watch them because we're degenerates like that. We love our football like that. People say we're toxic. We're only no. Listen, we want the best out of our team, out of our guys. We know who's playing up to snuff. We know who's giving it 110%, and we know who doesn't belong out there sometimes. Sorry if that offends people. You think we're fake or not? Listen, I love Jalen Hurts as a man, as a kid. I hope he has a great career here. Just it's not going to be here in Philadelphia. It's not going to be with this coaching staff. I don't know what to tell you. As much as we would like to see that kid succeed, and throughout my my cheering for these teams, like for the most part, these quarterbacks have always come delivered in some way, shape, or form. From Rodney Peete to freaking Randall Cunningham to down. We've had some
Rodney Peete looked better than he did. Rodney Peete had more arm ability than Jalen Hurts. I was young when Rodney Peete was our starter, but I remember being 4 or 5 years old and watching Rodney Peete.
We are gluttonous for serious punishment, but guess what? Listen, no one gonna ever say we're fair weather or fake. I don't care what your definition of that is, because I've been seeing a lot of people in this fan base try to fling around what the definition of a fan is. Listen, as long as when comes game day, you're bleeding green through and through. I don't care if you're judgmental of this team. If you're not, I would think there's something wrong.
So here's some Nostradamus for you. In 2 years, Jalen Hurts is going to be Kyler Murray's backup in Arizona. Okay? That's literally his future. Like, that's what he is. A guy that goes and backs up a quarterback that's like that, like he's a poor man's Kyler Murray, a poor man's Russell Wilson, all that, right? Like he's going to go back up one of those guys because he does have a similar skill set. He's just never going to be anything close to those guys, but at least his skill set's similar enough where it makes sense for him to be your backup sort of thing. So it is.
You want to throw some craziness. All right, we've heard the Russell Wilson nonsense over the last week. It's getting heavier.
Russell Wilson's not going to come play here. Russell Wilson's too intelligent.
I agree with you for the exact reason we've already sat there and said, because it probably should have happened already, and no one wants to come and play for Harry Roseman. I don't know when the writing on the wall is going to be bright enough for freaking Jeffrey Lurie to see, yes, he may be your guy. He may be your friend. Have him some freaking special consultant to the general manager. In some way, shape, or form, get him out of the goddamn building.
The special advisor to the owner.
This thing is falling apart his face as it did. And he's the reason why it continues to sit there and fester. It's a freaking cancer. Get rid of him. It's enough.
Make him the senior assistant to the owner or something. Right? Like, give him some stupid title.
Dude, like you want him in there? He's your boy. Find something somewhere else for him. It can't
give
be
him
here.
Some stupid title. Give him some stupid title where he can sit in your office or sit in your suite right next to you and sit there and hold hands with you.
On some other things, Russell Wilson would love, Odell would. Most fans would love that. I'm sure them two would love that.
Odell would come here, absolutely. I could see the Odell thing happening.
I could too. As much as we, the love-hate relationship between them, him and us, he knows how passionate this fan base is, and he knows once he gets across that white line in that end zone one time, all the hate's gone.
Yeah, we would enjoy his antics here.
Huh?
Oh, that's a hold. That's got to be a hold. He tackled him.
84-65 with a minute 50 left in the third.
How is that not a hold in the Penn State-Ohio State game? Oh, my God.
So Hugh says that Russ was too smart to come here. I agree. I see him finding another situation elsewhere. Kind of the outstanding trade rumor right now is that Watson's going to Miami. You biting on that?
Yeah. I don't know about if it happened at the deadline, but this offseason, yeah.
No, I think it does. I think it does. Well, I think it'd probably be for their best interest, so they have an additional pick for another year they can use, because obviously we have Miami's first this year.
Yeah, I mean, but Miami could still give up Tua and 2 future firsts to get him if they wanted to, sort of thing. Again, I would love to trade for him. Does Deshaun Watson even want to come here? Is his camp even like?
It's another one. He shut it down. And this is what I keep sitting there trying to tell everyone. As much as the fans they want to bring this guy in, they want to bring that guy in. No one wants to play for the general manager you have in the building. So until such a time comes that he's not in the building, forget about making high price trades, big name free agents. It's not going to happen. You have to pray for the draft, which he has shown us he is terrible at. He is so hot and cold with that.
I disagree there.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I thought if I got a name pick, I mean, I think we get. I think we don't like we would get blinded with how he's drafting track record is the fact that he took Rager over Jefferson. How can you support that? I don't support that. But how many 5th or 6th round picks has he hit on? Kenny Gainwell is going to be a hit. Mayalata was a hit. Dillard could still be a hit. At the very least, he's an asset that looks like he's going to be traded away to get us some other assets to help us in the future. So it's not a complete bust. There, Devontae Smith's a solid pick.
Angel wants to know, what about Malik Willis? You feel like that?
I like Willis. He's a kid I like. My quarterback that I like the most out of this year's draft is Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. He just balled out today against Miami. Now Miami beat Pittsburgh 38-34. But Pickett threw for over 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. How about this, Steven?
Molly said he's seen on ESPN today that it's approved. They're just waiting for it's good. It's just waiting for the league approval.
With the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean I wouldn't be surprised by it. But Steven, look at this. How about these numbers today from Kenny Pickett in the Pittsburgh-Miami game? 39 of 55 for 515 yards, 3 touchdowns. And they still somehow found a way to lose that game. But the point is, one, not only is he a great quarterback prospect, but he's from the Jersey Shore. Grew up Philadelphia sports fan, has family still in the area. They're hardcore Philly sports fans so he's going to understand walking into this fan base, everything that's going to come with that. He's going to embrace it and love it. And then on top of it, he looks like he could be a pretty damn good quarterback prospect too. So, I'll take him. If we're talking about whether it's the top pick, whether it's a top 5 pick, top 10 pick, we can pick or choose which one we want to do it with. He would be my guy I'd roll with just because of everything. He's the total package. Looks like he's a legitimate NFL quarterback prospect, and then you got to love the fact that he's from the area, right? Because that means it helps with the idea of understanding just what it takes from a mindset perspective to walk in here.
We've touched on that a lot over the last few weeks. When when we're talking about other players in the city and they just don't have it. Whether it's where they're from, where they were raised from, where they were brought up, what type of environment. Listen, to be in certain big market cities, you have to have a certain mentality about you to kind of survive in that market.
And sometimes being the hometown kid puts an extra chip on your shoulder to turn things around. Example, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. He grew up, 20 minutes from Cincinnati. I mean, literally grew up in the Cincinnati suburbs. He's an Ohio kid that grew up in the Cincinnati suburbs, the hometown kid that's there trying to turn the franchise around, right? I mean, dude, I think we're all shocked by how good the Bengals have been this year. They just rolled the Ravens last week, 41-17. They're probably going to roll the Jets tomorrow.
The biggest thing about that is because Burrow got hurt last year. And I think everyone's just like, it's going to take him a year or two before he can get
right? It's where careers go to die.
He comes back this year and it's bam. It's like he was like, oh, wait, he hit another level. That's what a second-year quarterback's supposed to look like. So when people want to sit there, oh, Jalen's it's not his first, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the excuses anymore. It's nonsense.
Lamar Jackson started 7 games his first year and then won the MVP his second year, right? You've had guys that, that's the NFL now. Within 18 games, they either have it or they don't, and whether they have it or they don't. There is no taking 3 years to find out whether a quarterback's got it. Kyler Murray going into year 2, you were like, oh, look how special this kid is, right? It's all the same shit. Like, you just look at Jalen Hurts, and when you're literally struggling with the same shit you did in college, going into your rookie year, all throughout your rookie year, have now had a whole full offseason to improve on that stuff and still haven't, it is what it is. It's not going to get any better. You are what you are, and we have to accept that. Your eyes don't lie to you. But there's people in this fan base that want to, hold out on whatever reasonings they have for why, he can be, you guys just don't understand. Get him a good coaching staff and a this and a that. And what the hell is a good coaching staff going to do about the fact that he can't throw a ball? Like, you've got simple NFL routes, like, sideline out routes, things like that. How come we don't use the middle of the field, Steven? That's something that's been talked about a lot. How many articles have been written about the fact that we do not throw the ball into the middle of the field? I wonder why that is. Probably not because we don't want to throw the ball in the middle of the field, but somebody just doesn't have the ability to throw the ball consistently and accurately enough into the middle of the field. So we can't do it. You lose to the Lions, Steven, and the Gardner Minshew conversation heats up real quick.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that me and you talk about. Like I know everyone wants to kind of, the group of Eagles fans that have seen enough, and we know what this kid is. The experiment's over, and they just want to throw Gardner Minshew out there. Listen, give the kid the rest of the year, regardless of what it is.
The rest of the year. I'm not pulling the plug after the Lions game, but if we get to the beginning of December and it's the same shit, and we're like,
I'll say it like this: if he's still playing like this against some of the divisional teams, yeah, we might see the hook come.
You get to Thanksgiving, and it's still this bad. I mean, what's the point of keeping him in there? It's just going to get uglier and uglier, and you're like, for the kid's sake, I don't want this. Like, I really don't want it to get so ugly and so bad that he has, like, he looks so, like, all of a sudden you're like, you know what, the kid, he's a better kid than this. Like, just for his sake, from the type of kid he is personally, I'd like to at least be able to see him, look half average, look, I don't want it to get so ugly where even teams are like, hey, fuck you, like, fuck a project. Like, this kid, he's going to be in the Canadian Football League in 2 years, type of shit. Like, you at least want to see the kid make a career of himself in the NFL. I think he's a good kid that works hard enough, and does, is enough of a good enough leader and all that. Like, he's literally what career backup quarterbacks are made of. When you look at his makeup, when you look at his skill set, like, literally that's what career backup quarterbacks are made of. And that's not a bad thing. You need, like, guys like that fill out a roster for you, right? Like, they're really valuable quarterbacks. You need a guy that's a backup that you can count on in case your starter gets hurt or whatever the case might be. And that's what he's going to be for franchises going forward. Never going to be anything special. Never going to be a franchise quarterback.
So we'll take it to Hughes
solid
next
enough backup and can start a few games if you need it.
So we'll take it to Hughes' next point. Do we take one this year or next year in the draft?
I told you I want Kenny Pickett. I mean,
I said that's what you want. What do you think they'll do?
If they can't trade for somebody, yes, I think they take somebody. Yes.
Now, me and you had already thrown at like I guess our guy that we want hope kind of falls into our lap is Derek Carr. Me and you kind of already agree with that. Outside,
I would love Derek Carr. He's my he's my number one trade target.
He's the star at the top of the list.
Yeah, he's at the top of your wish list.
Guy who would fit here both as a person mentally and as in the system. What I'm saying, Derek Carr doesn't happen. They for whatever reason, either he doesn't come here, they resigns, etc. Who would be your other potential free agent option that you would kind of hold the fort down until you can either develop a guy or bring the next guy in?
Jameis Winston. Jameis is going to be a free agent. Tyrod Taylor will be a free agent, but I like Jameis 3 times as much as I like Tyrod Taylor. Like, I actually think Jameis can win you something. Like, I think he's got, like, even with the Saints, and now I think at the end of the year, you'll probably see they probably re-sign him and roll with him and go, okay, you're our guy now going forward. But right now,
no, Angel, Aaron Rodgers has stayed far away from Philadelphia. Don't even think he'll ever.
Aaron Rodgers, if anything, Aaron Rodgers ends up like a place like he's the guy that ends up with the Raiders, or he's the guy that ends up with the Niners, or somewhere like that. Where
what's up, big guy? How you feeling, brother?
Like Aaron Rodgers is literally going to manipulate the place that he gets to go to. Wherever he goes, it's where he says he gets to go. Aaron Rodgers ends up in a place like Denver, where it's like the missing piece to them winning a championship. Although he might say, fuck Denver, I want to go somewhere where it's a little bit warmer. I spent enough of my fucking time in a cold-ass fucking frozen-ass tundra, so fuck it. But, still, like, that's the type of
where you're talking about is the scenario I'm talking about that lands as Derek Carr.
It's very likely. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm just sitting there saying, people tend to forget, Aaron, he's a Cali kid, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. Rodgers is a West Coast kid. He's not coming to Philly. That's not happening. Like that.
I would have to say that the Las Vegas Raiders would kind of be the landing spot for him.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me, and
again,
he just seems like the type of
you are
personality
just
that would like
projecting on what could possibly coming down. This, if you're an Eagles fan, this is what you hope happens. While people are asking for Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be.
No, Aaron Rodgers isn't a future. He's not like all he is a stopgap.
He's going to the AFC. Well, I agree. He's probably going to go to the AFC. In my hopes, I'm hoping that he makes room for a potential new landing spot for Derek Carr because he spent his whole career there too. Favre, Rodgers.
I love how I've gotten you on this Derek Carr idea. I brought this up a couple weeks ago. And you're like all of a sudden in love with the idea, Steve.
Well, no, just because of the fact of listen, he isn't this great superstar sexy pick, but he's a guy who that's David Carr's little brother. Oh, there's another guy who's going to stink up the league, and he's done nothing but prove the league wrong.
Absolutely.
That's a guy
he can make every throw. I'm sorry, great leader.
And we're gonna have the other side of it is people are gonna throw the minority thing out there. Listen, I don't care if he's black, white, green, purple. He's freaking from Mars. If he can win us freaking football games and give us another parade, bring him here. That's all I would. Listen, I don't care what anyone thinks outside of that. I know people.
There's
plenty
of people in this fan base
of that nature. But hey, man.
Listen, I'll be the one to say it. I have no problem having the difficult conversation, Steven. I'll be the one to say it. There's plenty of people in this fan base that legitimately think that the only reason there's so many people that hate Jalen Hurts is because he's black and we hate black people. There's legitimately people in this fan base that think it's a black and white thing. It's a race thing. It's just fucking stupid at this point. And there'll be people that'll think if we trade for Derek Carr and bring Derek Carr here to be the quarterback and send Jalen Hurts packing somewhere, that it's a race thing. I've heard it since he was fucking drafted. It drives me fucking crazy. There's people in this fan base that don't want to admit that Jalen Hurts stinks because of a black and white thing and a race thing. It's that much of a fucking real deal. And it annoys the shit out of us. It should annoy the shit out of all of us. It's just stupid.
And I also think that stems for the media pointing at that for the good period of time. We had nothing but black quarterbacks after Jaworski.
Yeah, there's an infatuation with yes, Cunningham, McCabb, our best quarterbacks in franchise history are minorities. Yeah, so there's a love for them here. And Philly's a city that's going to embrace a minority quarterback anyway because it's Philly. And it's, we're very, very diverse, all different minorities, we're
different minorities.
Look at the background of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia area in general. It's all different types of minorities that make up the area. And we've all kind of formed a melting pot of a community here. And we all love each other and get along. If you're from Philly, you're from Philly. We don't care what you are. You're Philadelphia is what you are. Just be from Philly, and we got your back, sort of thing. You're one of us, right? As long as you're one of us. But that's kind of why I do like the idea. And I think, watch, as we get closer to the draft, you're going to see the idea of drafting Kenny Pickett gain a ton of steam, and it's going to become like everybody in this fan base is on board with it because, when you look at what Joe Burrow's doing with Cincinnati, you almost need like that hometown savior. You need a Philly kid, somebody that understands what it's like to be a Philly kid, a Philly sports fan, have that type of passion and chip on your shoulder at all times, that emotion that's on your sleeve there no matter what at all times. Maybe we need that finally here, maybe that's what's necessary. For us to be like, yeah, like, love this kid. He's ours. Every single bit. We love him. Like, he'll be the Chase Utley for us in football, right? Like, we've had a couple of those guys in baseball and other sports, hockey, stuff like that. Have we really had that guy in football? I don't know if we've ever had that guy in football where we've just looked at it and been like, yeah, he's one of us, and we embraced him like that. This could be that guy, It's interesting what happens if this gets ugly enough. Do they move on from Sirianni and that whole thing too? I mean, you very well could. It's very possible you could.
I think they might have to bite the bullet, buy him out, and redo everything again next season.
Yeah, it very well could be a thing. There's a ton of young assistants out there that you look at and go.
But in reality, I don't think they do it. I think, what the fans should probably brace themselves for is that the player, not the coach, and we'll go, nor the GM. That's what we're going to have to deal with, and we're going to have to deal with this regime bringing in the, grooming in the next set.
I mean, would you be cool with the idea of like there's been all these rumors about a guy like a Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan to go take another NFL job? Like, people, I know he's kind of flaky and there's a lot of quotes about him, but I think that type of shit works really well here in Philly. You know what I mean? Like a guy like that, like, I think if you're going to make a move, you've got to make it significant. It's got to be something where you go, okay, boom. It's a boom type of move, right? It's a boom type of hire. But I don't know if that type of hire is possible with Howie Roseman being the guy that's calling the shots. Philly is the best Hugh if you have a particular mindset and a particular attitude. It's also a place that people and certain players just want to stay as far away from as possible, depending on who they are. Well, Brian DeBall, I'm glad you brought that up, Angel, and I love Joe Brady from Carolina. Love Joe Brady. He's going to be the next Sean McVay of this league. That kid is special. But Brian DeBall, offensive coordinator in Buffalo, we tried to bring him in for an interview this offseason. He's another, just like Brandon Staley, when we tried to bring him in for an interview. DeBall told us to fuck off and that he wanted nothing to do with us. And you know why he told us that? Look at the head coach in Buffalo, Sean McDermott, who was a defensive coordinator here and an assistant here when Howie Roseman was a young executive. He probably knows better than anybody. Don't trust that snake. That guy's a fucking snake. You can't trust him at all.
I would definitely take Jimmy Harbaugh, but here's a going right back to you. Why would he take the job?
Well, pay him enough. He's got enough of an ego, enough of a complex about him. It's not out of the question.
I don't know, man. Like, you have to really kind of see what's going to be. What is Derek Carr has never played in a playoff game?
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Do you remember when Jack Del Rio was their head coach and they went 13-3 or 12-4 and went to the playoffs? He ain't win a playoff game, but he's went to one. Get your facts straight, Omar. Let's go. Come on, Omar. I expect more than that from you.
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I like Lincoln Riley. I do.
All right, last 5 minutes, 103-77. So it's safe to say that the Sixers, look.
Performance there, Steven.
It was Atlanta. Did you not think that it was, that they were going to show up in this game? You know what I mean? You were talking about
I
it.
should have bet money on this. I didn't know Grinky was pitching. If I knew that Grinkster was pitching, holy fuck.
There you go. He said injured.
Who's injured?
That he was injured in the game. He didn't play.
That doesn't – what? Bro, he's still – stop. He's still let it – okay, enough with your nonsense. Still led a team to the playoffs. I don't know what him not playing what does that have to do with anything?
He still took him there, though, right? Did I miss that part of it?
Yeah, he took a team to the playoffs. I'm not sure what your point with him not playing in the game actually is. What's that have to do with anything? Did he take a team to the playoffs or not? Yes.
He still took him there. That's
like, bro. Like, I remember now. You're right. He got hurt, but my point is he took him there. He's the whole reason they went. He was in the MVP conversation that year.
One winning season. Did you see the direct that he took him there with?
That's an accomplishment. He's had their best season since 2002. Think about it. Outside of that 12-2 season that he had as their starting quarterback, their next best season was 20 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Buccaneers. They've been hot dog dribble ever since.
Right. Omar,
except that one.
The point that we're trying to get is he would be a complete quarterback that you could build around with these young guys that you already have. All you really need is to fix a couple. Fix a couple pieces. You wouldn't need to waste your top 3 picks next year on your quarterback. That's all we're saying.
You're probably trading 2 of them, Steven, or Jalen Hurts in one of them, and maybe you go Jalen Hurts, a first-round pick, and Fletcher Cox.
He said he was just stating the fact he was just putting it out there, I guess, getting it out there.
Those types of things, he's had one winning season. Okay, has he not made the Raiders relevant again? I'm think about the Raiders were the laughing stock of football for a long time. Derek Carr gets there. From out of nowhere, they become competitive again.
Listen, Omar.
Now all of a sudden, they're competitive enough again and relevant enough again where they move to Vegas, and Vegas builds them a new $2 billion stadium. That doesn't happen if Derek Carr is not their quarterback. It just doesn't. He was a big part of why that became a whole thing.
I'm not telling you he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's a franchise quarterback who can make.
You can win a Super Bowl with that guy. Absolutely. I don't know. When people use their eyes, I don't know what they don't like about the guy. Yeah, he's a very good QB. Exactly, Omar. Well, that's what I want. I want a very good QB. There's only 3 or 4 elite QBs in football. The rest of them are either very good, average, or not any good at all. There's only 4 elite ones. The next step down from elite is very good. And he's in that next step down. I'll take very good.
And like what me and you are getting at here is the main thing is getting somebody to so one, you don't have to rely on your coaching staff, your drafting staff, etc., to go and find you the next franchise quarterback. He's already been developed. He has an arm. He knows what he's doing.
And he's somebody that if he steps into an offense like Nick Sirianni, where it's a little bit, you're like, yeah, this guy's just
then
he can take control of that offense, right?
Both of them can help elevate each other.
Well, I trust Derek Carr to step to the line of scrimmage, recognize the defense and what they're running, whatever pressure they're bringing, whatever coverage they're running. He can make whatever changes he needs to make at the line of scrimmage, and I can trust him to manage the game and make up for the fact that maybe I don't have the best offensive coaching staff in the world or the best offensive talent in the world. I know he's somebody that is going to manage this game in the best way that he possibly can to give me the best chance that we can to win this game. And that's what I need at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and Omar,
hold on. We called that play. Why are we running that play against this coverage? Check out of that. We're killing that. We're doing this, and this. Okay, and everything's fine. And now I'm comfortable, and I can be okay with the idea that maybe my coach isn't, what he needs or whatever. But you feel a hell of a lot more confident as a fan and as a team, as an organization, with him being your leader at the quarterback position.
Like I said, this is all hypothetical. If the Raiders move on, and you see a couple other guys move on from their current homes and find new situations. That's
going to be a thing.
Aaron Rodgers is another one of the guys that people are throwing out there. Me and Zach quickly debunked that one. What was that?
Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Derek Carr all get traded, and Deshaun Watson might get traded too, depending on what happens with that situation.
So you might
this
see
is going to be the trend that was all started last year when Matthew Stafford talked his way out of Detroit. It's opened up this new can of worms.
Finally, they only kept him there in Siberia long enough to waste him in freaking Megatron's entire career, just about. But
Detroit's one of those places where careers go to die, and then it's amazing that when you look at it and you go, man, how good was Matthew Stafford really to even be able to elevate them to the point where they have? Because you look at how bad they are now and say, man, for them to win 7 games a year with Matthew Stafford was fucking impressive. They're struggling to win 2 or 3 with Jared Goff. You're like, and nothing's changed with that team. Nothing really, right? Outside of the coach and the quarterback. But is that really enough of the difference for it to be, 6 or 7 wins sort of difference? If Matthew Stafford's there right now, they're not 0-7, right? That's the bottom line. And if Matthew Stafford's there right now, I'm betting like everything. I'm going all in on them tomorrow against the Eagles because I think it's a roll job if Matthew Stafford's their quarterback.
Yeah. Now here's the other thing. The top 10s are in short supply, and that's the crazy part when we talk about this, because we're literally naming off 3 guys or 4 guys who could arguably be in the top 10 or just outside of it. That all could be finding new homes next year. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, etc. I mean, obviously Deshaun Watson, it was in that ilk. You might have 3 of them that'll be moved this offseason.
That's a terrible targeting call. Are you watching the Ohio State Penn State game?
Nah, remember we're both split on this one. And speaking of which, as I mentioned, that Houston is up 2-0 at the top of the 5th on the Atlanta Braves. So it looks like this is going 6-7, like we talked about.
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to go 6 or 7. I actually like it to go 7. I'm really pulling for Houston just because I want to see Dusty Baker get a ring. Think about Dusty Baker. This dude could have won a ring 20 years ago, managing the Giants. And they lose to the Angels. And they were up in that series. Remember Game 6? They're up in Game 6, like 5-1 in the 7th inning with Russ Ortiz on the mound. He takes them out. They go to the bullpen. That game's over. They rolled the baseball to the dugout, thinking, "Hey, that's going to be the series winning baseball. Save that one for your trophy case." And the Angels come back to win Game 6 and then went on to win Game 7. And who you are 20 years later is Dusty Baker. Never thinking you were going to have this chance again, and you do.
Dusty Baker's in an interesting spot right now too, right? But we'll see how this pans out over the next the next few days or so. Because
how is that targeting? I don't even know if their fucking helmets touched.
and there comes Zach.
Stand this targeting rule in college football, Steven. I just can't stand it.
And I think the Flyers are about to go on now too, right? And the Flyers are about to go on now. And I believe the Flyers are about to go live now too, right?
Who cares?
Who cares? Are you serious? All right, you know what? You done started it now, my friend. You done started it now.
Flyers. What a terrible organization.
You do realize that you know they're probably our best chance of a championship in the next 3 years. You do realize that, right? As much as I know you have this utter disdain for hockey for whatever reason it is.
No, go Lightning. Three-peat. Going for the three-peat. But no, I mean, no, just this idea that like, oh, they're probably our best chance. That's like me taking 4 different shits in 4 different paper bags, lighting them all on fire, and then trying to debate about which one stinks the least. Okay.
Now, Omar's got a point here. Now, how the league has changed over the last like 5 to 6 years. How before it was all about getting him in there for that rookie contract, get him in there for those 5-6 years, and then you have to open everything up to pay him. Now it's kind of like it's almost switched gears. Like it doesn't even matter. Like we already know you have to pay this guy anyways. So just like get a developed guy and see what you got.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Salary caps and all that are designed around the quarterback. I mean, you're literally understanding that you're going to pay your quarterback a ton of money and everything else is going to be designed around that. Did they just call roughing the passer? What the fuck are we talking? Dude, yo, they are literally trying to fucking sit here and like keep Penn State in the game with these penalties. What kind of fucking call is this? Didn't the ball get tipped? How is it roughing the passer if the ball's tipped?
Zach is not a happy man right now. So, you feeling on anything on the UFC tonight, man? Like I already touched on Glover's fight. We had Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen had an awesome fight there too.
No, my bookie didn't tell me to bet on anybody, so I don't have anything.
Oh, that's what he was.
Knocked over.
Yeah, they were in Abu Dhabi this afternoon, so
I just knocked over something and spilled it.
Maybe that's what Omar's laughing at. Your goofy ass. But 122.89 with about a minute 9 left.
All right, so that game's over. Anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely over.
What an awful throw. Oh.
So obviously, people were a little concerned after they the Pistons game, but are you feeling like obviously that the Sixers could still be a team without Ben? Obviously he's been the kind of talk of it all. Obviously,
and you want to know why? Because the closer we get to the deadline, the more likely that it is that a Ben Simmons deal happens. Because at some point, a team realizes, man, he's the missing piece to everything that we have, and you figure out a deal, and a deal gets done, and that's that. If it takes till the deadline, then it takes till the deadline. You're fine with that. I love the fact that Daryl Morey said, hey, fuck you. We're going to keep all the leverage on our end. I don't give a fuck what type of hardball this kid tries to play with me. It's like when your son tries to challenge you, Steven, and you got to make him realize, like, I'm still the man of the house, little boy. Like, ain't nothing. Like, stop it. Like, I'll punch you in your little mouth. That's Ben Simmons right now. He ain't ever had his ass beat his entire life, and Daryl Morey's about to take his belt off and beat his ass for the first time.
I still think that they're good now, and they'll be even better after the trade.
Yeah, you
They
find
were
a way to get better after the trade. Say you trade him to Sacramento for Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield. Does that not make you better? Buddy Hield's a perimeter player. Harrison Barnes, a guy that can do a little bit of everything at a really high level. Okay. Two of them equal one Ben Simmons at the very least. Maybe even get a pick out of that.
never know, man.
Buddy,
You never know. Like
Buddy
I said,
Hield, and who's the kid that they're trying to get out of the contract in Sacramento?
I'm not sure. I forget his name.
Bagley, Marvin Bagley III. Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, and a first-round pick, and boom, now you have your Ben Simmons deal.
I'm still a firm
second.
believer. It's going to take 3 teams. I'm still a firm believer on that one.
A 3-team deal always helps.
As we get a look into the arm barn. I had to. I'm sorry.
Peter just tries to do anything they can to stay relevant. Let's be honest.
It looks like Houston's got this one. They're already up to Wright's go with 70 pitches in, and he's got runner on the corners.
Well, yeah, Atlanta was going to be in trouble tonight because once Morton got hurt, this was going to be they had to pick a game where they were going to start somebody they didn't plan on starting at any point. And I guess once they went up 2-1 yesterday, they decided now's as good of time as any. We're up 2-1. If we lose, okay, it's still fine. We're 2-2, and we got game 5 tomorrow in Atlanta to try to go up 3-2. But they decided today would be the game that they're going to go with the guy that they weren't planning on going with, and he didn't even go an inning. He ended up going 2/3 of an inning or something. Is this a touchdown? Did he really get the ball in? Are we positive? There's a flag, so let's see what the flag is.
Oh, that's not the one you're watching. Yeah, there you go. So you think Ohio State's going to hold this off? They still got a whole half to go?
Listen, Ohio State was minus 1,200 favorites on the money line. Vegas is losing a ton of money if Ohio State loses this one. Is that a touchdown?
No, that's short.
That's not a touchdown, right?
Oh, let's see. Let's see from that angle again.
You can't see where the ball's at.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think it's short.
I think it's short too, but I think they say it stands.
Will they change the name for Pigpen as well? Who knows?
Listen, the idea of changing the bullpen,
this is the stupidest
first of all,
thing I've ever heard.
PETA, I don't even understand how it's offensive. What's offensive about a bullpen? An arm barn, have you looked at the Urban Dictionary definition of arm barn?
What's that?
When you fist somebody with your fist all the way up their ass.
And you have no
Do we
shame.
really want to change bullpen to arm barn?
I mean, it would kind of be fitting with the rest of the freaking degenerates we
arm barn
have.
is kind of more offensive at this point, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, brother. They rolled it a touchdown.
Well, I told you that was going to happen.
I rolled it a touchdown.
It looked like at the end that maybe it was. He did possibly extend it, but good Lord. I mean, they were giving Penn State a ton of help. Oh my God, they want to keep this game. It's clear that they want to keep it within the spread.
Arm barn's offensive to Ronda Rousey from all the arms that she collected over the years. How about that?
It's just so ridiculous. They fucking called. Dude, they called a targeting penalty on a play where the helmets didn't even touch.
The rules is getting weirder and weirder, my friend.
Well, because they need different ways to help Vegas win money. So
Different ways to make this one.
no, Larry Johnson. Have you ever heard Larry Johnson talk about this on the on one of their sports podcasts? The old Chiefs running back, where he said the NFL's fixed, like not in like a professional wrestling sort of way, but in the idea where like throughout the course of a game, as the game's playing out, and you get to the fourth quarter of a game, like the league and Vegas both understand what the line is, what the over-under is, what the spread is, all these things. And there's a collaborative effort on both of their parts to try to make sure one thing or the other happens. Either you're over the spread, you're under the spread, whatever the case might be. You beat the spread, you don't beat the spread. It's you beat the over or the under, whatever it might be. There's a collaborative effort between Vegas and these NFL teams, or Vegas and the NFL, to make sure that these games end a certain way. And it was really funny to hear him talk about it.
Did you see the running back from Michigan State go crazy?
Yeah, he had 5 touchdowns today. Damn, I got a piece, Steven.
You want to get ready to put a plug on this one?
Perhaps.
All right, man. Anything else you want to add? Obviously, I know you have to go to the bathroom. We talked some baseball, we talked some football, talked a little basketball. Anything else you want to throw out there? Things of the week, anything like that before we put a bow on this one, my friend.
No, I mean we're at a, like I said, I've already mentioned my feelings about the Astros and all that. Go Ohio State, go Buckeyes.
And we got a fun one next week for you. I got a former Eagles running back that has a connection to our current head coach and Nick Sirianni. He's gonna be joining us. UFC women's fighter is gonna also join us in the second hour as of right now. Who knows when we're gonna rebook Will? Obviously we're always not short of topics, things to talk about, people to talk to. Like I said, as always, guys, make sure you're staying tuned in, keeping up with all our programming. Again, make sure you guys are liked, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you're keeping up with everything on all the platforms, and then obviously as we've been talking about, make sure you guys are checking out the membership, guys. You can't miss this one. It's real easy. Hop on there, YouTube. Make sure you got that. You hop on the premium subscription. You're gonna get the special shows, get the swag. Like I said, I got some stuff lined up for you guys next month. We got some things to do, and I know we already got some stuff situated with the other stuff we got going on. Make sure you guys are checking out. The Money Pot guys tomorrow. Get your bets in. Make sure you got everything situated for Sunday football. You can't miss it. Appreciate you tuning in, Omar. Make sure you're back next week. We're gonna have some fun, my friend. $9.99, absolutely, it's worth it. Other than that, I'm Steve. He was Zach. This was another episode of the Weekly Roundup, and we'll see you guys next week. November's going to be here. It's getting colder. Baseball should be over. We're going to be kicking in full gear for football. Let's go, people. Make sure you're locked in. We'll catch you guys on the rebound.